Special thanks to our sponsors Be Quiet, Lian Lee, ViewSonic, Vantex, and Deepcool for sending us to CES 2019.
What's going on, everyone? More primary roll filmed out of the hotel room simply because ViewSonic's booth was extremely crowded at PepCom. So we were invited to PepCom to view what ViewSonic had. Wow, that came out well. On display. And to be honest, I haven't used ViewSonic monitors for gaming. I don't think ever. I've had a couple of ViewSonic monitors in the past, but they were nothing super special. They weren't meant to be. They were fairly cheap. But these two here are targeted at gamers, and that's what we want to show off in this video. So up first is the XG350R, which is a 24-inch 1080p gaming monitor with 144 Hz refresh rate. That is great for gamers, as well as FreeSync compatibility. Now this is, again, nothing super special. This is pretty run-of-the-mill when it comes to 1080p gaming monitors at this point. But this is actually a very affordable panel, and I can tell you it actually does look very good in person as well. The colors are not undersaturated, they don't look warped at all, and the viewing angles were actually pretty good as well, considering the technology being used. The 240R also boasts a 1 millisecond response time. I was looking very hard for any ghosting at all. I didn't see any, but again, we're going to have to test this stuff in-house to fully validate what sort of 1 millisecond response time they're actually using, what sort of standard. Could be gray to gray, could not be. So we'll have to find that out, but I can say that this panel looked absolutely beautiful in person. And again, this is not, this isn't something that's going to stand out as like a crowd killer, like, wow, this is something new and super different. It is new in a sense for ViewSonic, again, then branching out into the affordable gaming space. But for the price, I think the exact price is $266 thereabouts. That's an incredible value in my opinion. 1080p is great for a lot of gamers. It's still the most popular resolution with which to game, according to Steam surveys, and this monitor would do nicely for any of those individuals. Now, perhaps the star of the show is this panel right here. It's the XG350R-C, which is an ultra-wide 35-inch panel, 3440 by 1440, so that's an ultra-wide 1440p resolution, and a 100 Hz refresh rate. Now this was actually super cool to see in person because they were showing Witcher 3 gameplay live at the booth, and so we were able to see just how well this monitor fares with a game that's pretty graphically intensive. Again, there's a lot of quick jolts back and forth, fast scenes, and ghosting was not something that I noticed at all. So this is literally a game being tested. I got very close to this monitor, couldn't see any of that really, which is impressive for a 100 Hz 3440 1440 panel. And again, when you're playing something as intense as Witcher 3. It's difficult to get those frame rates up there. So 100 Hertz for a game like this honestly isn't too bad. Most users are barely going to hit 100 FPS, if that, when you crank up those settings in a game that's as graphically intensive, again, as Witcher 3. The 350R is also a curved panel, 1800R to be more specific, so it's actually fairly noticeable, that curve there. It's going to give you a more immersive experience. I use a curved ultra-wide panel at home, and I can tell you it makes a big difference, especially when you're the only one looking at the screen. Maybe off to the side it's going to look warped right on one side because you're not looking at it dead on. But for a single user, when you're sitting fairly close to a panel, that curved aspect, it is noticeable, and I do appreciate it. This panel also does include FreeSync, so for those currently running AMD hardware or potentially future NVIDIA cards or cards that support future NVIDIA software, this will be something you can also take advantage of, so it's a nice addition. Now onto the backs of both of these panels, you'll find RGB LEDs, and this is something that's not going to increase the cost of either panel by any significant amount. I was told this is actually something that's fairly affordable to do, so you're not really paying much extra for it. It's not like you could have gotten this cheaper panel here for $199 if they had removed the RGB, so I don't think it's something to freak out about. You can disable it if you want. These aren't necessarily bright enough to shine off the wall and give you a decent backglow like you might find on some TVs, simply because when you increase the lumen, the output of these panels at the rear, they just get way too hot, so they keep it subtle. This is more for esports events and things of that sort to kind of show off the ViewSonic brand, but again, you're not paying much more for it. It's just something they're trying to do to differentiate these monitors just a little bit. So again, to recap the two monitors, $266 for the XG240R and $716 for the XG350R-C. The C again stands for curved. It is a curved panel. It is beautiful. It's not a super affordable panel by any means, but if you're buying into the 34-inch 1440p ultra-wide curved 100 Hertz market, you're not going to find these for very very cheap anyway. And this one was well built. It had a fairly big base. I wasn't the biggest fan of the large base, but it is a heavy panel. It's a very beefy panel, so it's something I guess we have to compromise with. And again, the cheaper one, the 240R, that one's really impressive actually. For just over 250 bucks, I think this is going to be a great seller, especially in the States. It is a gaming panel targeted at gamers. 144 hertz refresh rate, 1080p. It's perfect. 24-inch diagonal. It pretty much ticks all the boxes when it comes to an affordable gaming panel. By the way, you can actually control the RGBs on this monitor with third-party software. So for example, Thermaltake's RGB Plus ecosystem. You have Chroma from Razer, as well as Master Plus from Cooler Master. So let's say you have a Cooler Master build. You can actually sync up the rest of your components in your build with your monitor. So everything RGB-wise is totally synced. That sounds super weird. Never thought I'd say that in 2019, but here we are. RGB is a big thing even in monitors. So again, you're not paying much more for it. Don't freak out. You can turn them off if you want. It's just something that they're trying to use to differentiate their gaming brand from the rest of their panels. I really like the affordable 1080p 144 hertz panel here, the 240R. Hopefully you guys do too. We should have tested this one specifically in the studio, see how well it fares for the price. Again, just over 250 bucks. I think it's a great one. What do you guys think? Leave a comment down below, like this video if you thought it was cool, and stay tuned for more CES coverage. We're almost finished. Stay tuned. We're almost finished with CES stuff. You guys have been awesome so far. We'll catch you in the next one. This is Science Studio. Thanks for traveling with us.